Hello again and welcome back. We're going to have a quick look at some of the key features of the course settings which regulate the overall course. And as you can see, we're on my course main page. Here I am in all my glory in the introductory video. And if we look at the blue tab, we can see right on the right hand side the settings tab. Just going to open that and we're just going to go through the settings that I've tampered with and the reasoning behind it, I guess. I would suggest that these settings will depend greatly on the kind of course and the kind of students you are creating this course for, in as much as, for example, this particular course that I've been working on, teaching EFL, English as a Foreign Language, to native Arabic speakers, would be aimed at fellow instructors. So they themselves are educators. And it's an informal course, it's not connected to certification or qualifications or anything like that. It's informal, it's supposed to be lightweight. So things like grade books and reports and so on and so forth, not so important. I can allow quite a lot of flexibility. It would be a different case if I had a bunch of teenage students learning English, say. I would need to lock down perhaps some aspects of the course a bit more rigidly. And we'll have a look at these as we go through it. The first couple of items are absolutely essential. You have to put them in. You've got your course full name and a course short name. Which would, if you did it from year to year, there would be some sort of alteration in the short name to distinguish it from previous years. So adding on, I've got an A here, and next year it would be B, and so on and so forth. Now, I've left visibility on show, but if I was working in a Moodle, which was in an institution where there were other courses already online, I would keep that to hide so that none of my students started a course that wasn't ready before it was time. I'm going to allow course content to be downloaded as a default measure, and then I can intervene on specific items if necessary. I can set up a start date and an end date. As you can see, I've not done that because my course is invisible. There's no risk of anybody starting it by mistake. Course ID number for certain institutions. This is going to be absolutely essential. It may be tied in with the official title for accreditation or whatever. Administrators would set you right on that. Course description I have added. As you can see, we've got the full range of options here. Full range of features. I've kept it simple, just a couple of lines which explain what it's about. I could add in a whole bunch of other things here as well. Not sure that's necessary. What I have done temporarily, this one, it's a file, a photograph downloaded from Pixels as sort of visible course marker identifier. I will find something more suitable before my course is actually launched. Let's open up the next set of features, the ones which fall under the course format title. Now you have different options for the format. I'm going to stick with one topic format. Some of them you need to play about with them. Some of them will not be compatible with what you need to do. For example, social format. It will hide everything that's not really forum-esque, which is not what you want. Another nice one, the one that I would be tempted by, would be the tiles format. It turns your tabs into your sections into large square tiles, which you can personalize. Rather nice, rather attractive. It's a definite possibility. I'm not going to change mine just now. I'm leaving it in the one topic format and probably will for the duration. This next part allows me to hide sections and make them visible only when I want my students to be able to access them. I don't know really when I would want to do that because it kind of goes against the grain as far as I'm concerned. I quite like, because I do always put myself in the position of the learner. I like to know where my start is, but I also like to know where my finish is, and I like to understand just how much progress I'm making or not, as the case may be. So I would want, I think, all my sections visible so they get an overview of the entirety. There may be circumstances I can't quite think of right now in which you do not want to break the news to them how many sections are in your course, so you're going to keep that on the down low. You can opt to hide the tabs bar or not. I'm not entirely sure why you would want to do that. Again, it escapes me why the kind of circumstances where that might become interesting. Section 0 is an important section, and it's your kind of overview section where you wouldn't put the main content. You get to choose where to place it, either before the tabs or as one of the tabs, your option. Not a huge impact, I would have thought, in the final product. Use your topic summary as a template. I've opted for no. Display as default, but the other option would be to use that summary as a template throughout your course. There's some other things that are not, they're not particularly vital as far as I'm concerned. I'm more interested, let's say, in appearance. You have the option of forcing the language. This one I'm going to leave. I'm going to force the language. In my particular case, my learners are all EFL instructors, so English is the lingua franca. We're all going to be communicating in that. We'll leave it as that. The number of announcements, if we like, can be set. Again, I'm not sure why I'd want to do that. These other ones are really important, I would say. Now, my course is pretty informal, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to be getting grades for things. Doesn't mean it might not be a numerical grade, it might just be a pass-fail or whatever, or a very sort of rough letter grade, something. I'm not quite decided, I haven't decided on it. But I have no good reason to hide the students' grades from them. And I honestly can't think of circumstances where I'd want to hide the grades from students. I think it's something they really need to know. Something they really need to know. There's perhaps some hypothetical set of circumstances which at the present time is escaping me, and I cannot think what it is, but it may be that you want to do that. Same thing for activity reports. Yes, you again, it kind of depends on your students. Are you going to want them to are you going to want them to gauge the extent of their activity? In my particular case, I think in a lot of cases, especially with maturer students, understanding how active they are is actually very useful to them. So I wouldn't hide that. I'm going to change that one to yes. Show activity dates. Yes, why not? I might as well leave it that way. Files and uploads. It depends what your server can take, I guess. You're going to need to talk to your IT guy unless you're the one in charge of these things. You're going to obviously have to opt for a limit based on what your server can take, the number of students you've got, and so on and so forth. Those are considerations to be carefully pondered. Completion tracking. Yes, again, I call it light at the end of the tunnel effect. I think it's important for students and their instructors to know the progress that they're making. It psychologically, it has a different impact when you know you're working your way through, that you've got to X percent, X fraction of the overall course. I think it helps. And a bottomless dark tunnel is not particularly good for anybody. But you may have circumstances which require you to hide that kind of information from your students. Yes, you would show the conditions that you're setting for completion so that it's clear that in some cases, for example, a little glimpse forum is just not going to be enough. They're actually going to need to post something, start a new topic or whatever. Groups, if you are going to set up groups, let's say separate groups, you would set that in this way. You may want to create separate groups in your course, so that's going to be useful. Forcing group mode, no, you would leave that probably. No, you wouldn't want to force that. Default grouping, none. I'm going to leave it none. Role renaming, well, yes, this is a possibility. You may not be a big fan, or it might not even be entirely accurate, to call the educator's role teacher. You might want to call them educators or instructors or something completely different. Same thing with student. In my case, for example, I think I'd be more comfortable calling my students learners since they are fellow educators, and so on and so forth. Tags, yeah, you get to tag your stuff if you want. I'm not going to do that. Custom fields here that REM UI refers to this particular setup, this particular design, and it has a couple of custom fields involved in it, which allows you to specify the course duration in hours, but that of course requires you to calculate accurately how long it should take, something that I personally would not actually be able to do right now. So I'm not going to worry about that. So when I get to the bottom of this page, settings, I save and display, and as if by magic, everything is set up exactly how I like it, hopefully. Good luck.